Good morning, everyone. This is Karen Atkins, and we are here for a little chat about essential oils. Today, we are going to be looking at basil essential oil. And basil, I think, is one of the unsung heroes of essential oils. You know, you really don't hear a lot of people talking about it, um, but it's one of my favorites, and there's a number of reasons why. So I'm going to share some of those reasons with you today. So hopefully by the end of this video, if you aren't already a big basil fan, you probably will be, because it really is very, very versatile. It's one thing that's really wonderful about it. So first of all, maybe some people know that basil is supportive when you're feeling a little low energy. So it helps promote mental alertness, and it helps to lessen anxious feelings. One of the first times that I really recognized the qualities of basil were really great is one of my friends was going through a really stressful time. And she was actually told by a friend of hers that if you use the basil oil, she was a smoker and she was trying to quit smoking, but she wasn't quite there yet. And so she didn't really want people to know that she was smoking. And so she was told that it would disguise, if she put the basil oil on, it would disguise the smell of the cigarettes. So she started using it, and it pretty much worked for that. But then she also realized that where she had been a little bit fatigued and tired, it was helping to uplift her and feel renewed. So that intrigued me to experiment with the different other ways that you could use basil for those kinds of things. So I started putting some on the bottoms of my feet, especially at night. So after working a lot during the day or a lot of activity, I really got a lot of relief from that, and then started sharing it with some of my friends and loved ones as well, and we were all jumping on the basil train. It's also really nice to combine with wintergreen. So wintergreen is really, and our wintergreen now is sourced from Nepal, and it's so yummy. It's really one of my favorite oils. If you put it near me, I will hold on to it and smell it for quite a long time. It's a really amazing smell, but it's also very stress relieving. So the combination of basil and wintergreen for stress relief is incredible. Take a couple drops with a carrier oil, put it on the back of the neck. Amazing. Really feels good. A lot of tension and stress relief there. It's also, which I didn't really know, I mean, it makes sense because it helps you feel renewed, but it's also really good for helping to focus while you're studying or reading. So if you've got an exam coming up and you want to help yourself get into the material and really focus on it, try diffusing some basil. That really might help a lot. And you could also combine it with peppermint as well. They're kind of a nice combination together. Also, one of the uses for basil is during a woman's menstrual cycle. So it provides a soothing support and can also help to ease some of that monthly discomfort. So again, and it is in the Aroma Touch blend, which is also something that would help for that monthly time. And so it was actually one of the things that I didn't like at first. I didn't love the smell of basil. I thought it was too, I don't know what I thought, but it was like a little too strong or something like that, even though most people don't think that. But anyway, so I didn't even like the smell of the Aroma Touch. And then after I started using the basil for stress relief and all that, then I started loving the Aroma Touch blend. Because the combination of the basil with the other oils in the Aroma Touch blend, you know, I think it even brings out the benefits of the basil even more. So really nice combination there with the Aroma Touch, but also, you know, for the monthly, that monthly time. It's also really wonderful to use as a seasoning for any kind of dish that you're cooking. You can use it as, if you remember that if you're cooking with essential oils, you don't want to heat them up too much. So you just, I think it's 140 degrees is where it actually becomes, it loses its therapeutic value. So if you're cooking, you don't want to be boiling the oil, boiling the dish and put the oil in. You want to actually add the essential oil towards the end, if you're making something hot, or you could add it as sort of a refreshing taste for a salad or something. Just remember that it is very potent. So you could take a toothpick inside the bottle and just put that in there and try that first before you actually take a whole drop. I found that out with the cilantro oil as well, because it's really strong, and I almost ruined a guacamole by putting just one drop of cilantro. So I needed like a half a drop, and I put a little too much. So think about that. It also blends really well with lime and bergamot. I mentioned peppermint for an invigorating aroma, but the lime also, again, lime and basil might be nice for a refreshing, some kind of dish or salad or even a drink. Have had people try. Again, you have to experiment with the drops and what else you're putting in there, but I've had people try the lime and the basil together for a drink. Delicious, kind of like an elixir. I'm really into magical elixirs, so I experiment with that a lot. Try it. It's also acts as a cooling agent for the skin. So I found that out after being out in the woods where there were a lot of bugs around. So I really appreciated having the basil at that time. Let's look at the emotional properties of basil as well, because I mentioned the stress relief. But it is really, it's interesting when I teach the essential energy class, so the energy building and essential oils class, I talk a lot about basil because I actually feel that is one of the best oils to support the adrenal glands that we have. And of course, the adrenal glands are often related to feelings of overwhelm, anxious feelings, stress, things like that. So when we are trying to deal with so many issues in life, which, I mean, I don't know about any of you people, but we're in a really intense time right now. That's been my experience and the experience of a lot of other people. There's a lot going on. Everybody is busier than busy. Everybody is trying to do more things than they have time for. Everybody has tons of responsibilities. And if you personally don't, and you probably know people who do, and you're trying to help them, right? So basil is an incredible oil to support those times when you have so much coming at you and it's just like, oh my God, how am I going to cope with all this? You're going to love having the basil around to support whatever emotions you're having, whatever stress is going on, whatever's happening in your environment. And also just again, to support the healthy adrenals. When the adrenals are healthier, then it's easier for us to deal with these kinds of issues, right? So really, really important. Also, sometimes when we have stress to the adrenals, we need more support for restful sleep, for getting on the right time cycle. Basil can really help with that as well. It can help us to get more restful sleep, to feel more balanced. When we wake up in the morning, to feel renewed and refreshed. So that also helps with us emotionally. And also if we've been going, and we've, just kind of burnt ourselves out, not only does it help us with the physical support, for example, with the adrenals and all that, but also with the emotional support to feel emotionally and energetically renewed. And so, and again, I can't imagine there's really anyone who doesn't need a little bit of that right now because of, just how much stress and pressure we're feeling. The basil can really help us if we have patterns that we feel like we're repeating. And I mentioned this recently in a post about what's happening astrologically. But if we have things that are going on uh, that we're repeating over and over again. Basil kind of helps us get a different perspective. You know, like if we're stuck on something, if we're stuck on even if it's this, you know, the same emotions, the same foods, the same habits, basil will help us give a fresh perspective. And I keep using the word refreshing and renew. And emotionally, basil helps us with those things. It helps us feel like something's different. We can have a different perspective. We can start afresh. So a really great one to use in those kinds of circumstances. Um, Again, that the idea of a weary mind, right? If our mind is going and going with tons of things that are challenging us, that fresh perspective of the basil will help to relax the weariness and help us remember that maybe there's something different we can do, there's more energy that we can access, and it really helps us to look on the bright side of those kinds of things. So um, that's a great thing to do to help us with those mental, um, you know, I call it the parrot, you know, in our head that keeps repeating the same things over and over again and won't really give us a break. You know, it doesn't allow for anything new to come in. Try some basil, and maybe you'll have a fresh new idea. So there are actually tons of other uses for basil essential oil, which I love to look them up online, read books about them so that I can learn about all the oils. So there are some things that, in order to keep these calls compliant, there may be some other ways that you might have heard that basil could be, or any essential oil could be useful. We're only going to be sharing the ones that are, um, you know, considered appropriate for us to be sharing. But you know, the fun thing about essential oils is you really can experiment in a lot of different ways. So if you've used the oil in a special way that I haven't mentioned, then I'd love to hear about it, hear about your experiences, share them with me and your friends. Because like I said, essential oils are so versatile. There really are so many ways that we can experiment and get great results. So I hope that you have enjoyed this little excursion into the world of basil essential oil. And I look forward to seeing you again for another oil next week. All right, take care.